Ancient legends, myths, and religions from around the world have spoken of gods and angels, not always in the spiritual sense, but actual flesh and blood beings interacting with mankind. Many of these ancient cultures had vast knowledge of mathematics and astronomy, attributing their knowledge as being handed down from the gods. Who were these godlike beings known to one of the oldest civilizations, the Sumerians, as the Anunnaki? We will explore the mysteries around the Anunnaki and search for hidden answers in the new episode of Secret Origins. Welcome. The Sumerian civilization, which emerged more than 6,000 years ago from the Stone Age, is credited with over 100 of the earliest advancements for a modern society. These include agriculture, science, medicine, mathematics, kingship, laws, courts, judges, schools, and essentially all aspects of society that were integral to its development. But how did a civilization like this become so advanced out of nowhere? Is it possible that they were held by another more advanced extraterrestrial civilization? In recent times, one theory has been tremendously gaining popularity, the one about the ancient astronauts and the beings called the Anunnaki. Who were they? Did they truly exist? And if so, what was their purpose and the motivation for creating humanity? Thought to be the oldest civilization in the world, the southern Mesopotamian civilization of ancient Sumeria emerged around 3000–4000 BC. They left behind valuable evidence of their advanced society, including writing on cuneiform tablets made of clay and stone, which they invented. Using a wedge-shaped stylus to impress symbols onto wet clay tablets, their writing system allowed for information to be preserved. For a long time, deciphering the cuneiform tablets proved difficult. In March 1843, however, thousands of tablets were uncovered at an Assyrian palace, providing crucial evidence of an ancient kingdom. Within a decade, the ruins of the Sumerian capital city of Ur were also discovered. Here, researchers found the ziggurat of Ur, cuneiform tablets, and gold-adorned tombs. But what is interesting is that the cuneiform tablets found at the site reveal more than just evidence of an ancient civilization. They point to descriptions of a group of divine beings known as the Anunnaki, or the princely offspring of God, who, according to Sumerian belief, descended from the sky. The Sumerian civilization believed in hierarchy of gods called the Anunnaki, which the heavenly gods being the supreme deities. These beings possessed immense knowledge and power beyond human capacity, and their origin remains a mystery to archaeologists. The Sumerian tablets suggest the possibility of extraterrestrial origin for the Anunnaki, who played a significant role in the civilization's development. They were responsible for genetically engineering the human race, as seen in the Sumerian king list containing names of kings who lived for hundreds of years, leading researchers to speculate about the presence of extraterrestrial genes. The Sumerian king list is perhaps one of the most important ancient texts that perfectly describes a time in history where literally gods ruled for thousands of years. After the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridu. In Eridu, Alulim became king. He ruled for 28,800 years. Alaujar ruled for 36,000 years. They ruled for 64,800 years. One of the most interesting details about the Sumerian king list is the fact that the earliest list describes 8 kings who ruled over Earth for a total of 241,200 years since the original kingship had descended from heaven all the way to the time of the Great Flood, which swept over the land, and once more the kingship was lowered from heaven after the flood. Could the ancient kings of Sumer have lived for hundreds or even thousands of years, making them our extraterrestrial ancestors? Some believe this question was answered over 35 years ago. In 1976, Zecharia Sitchin published the book The 12th Planet, revealing his interpretation of the Anunnaki deities. Sitchin believed that the Sumerian gods were extraterrestrial who landed on Earth over 450,000 years ago, created humans, and played a role in their downfall during a great flood. But why did the Anunnaki visit Earth and create humans? According to Sitchin's hypothesis, they came to Earth to mine gold and created humans to perform the task. This theory is controversial, but provides evidence that the Anunnaki were the original creators of mankind. The Anunnaki claimed to have come from their planet Nibiru and could travel through stargates and wormholes. Zecharia Sitchin also claimed that the Sumerians learned astrology from the Anunnaki, which gave them a deep understanding of our solar system, including Venus and Saturn, and even depicted a 10th planet called Nibiru. Sitchin believed that Nibiru orbits the Sun every 3,600 Earth years and causes disruptions when it passes close to Earth. In 1983, the Washington Post reported a heavenly body as large as Jupiter, and NASA had acknowledged the possibility of a large hidden planet due to gravitational effects observed in our solar system. Modern astronomers have detected a 10th planet larger than Pluto. Some believe that the Anunnaki came from Nibiru and created a shield on Earth using gold to help heal their own planet. So who exactly were the Anunnaki? The term Anunnaki comes from Anu, the chief god of the sky, and Anunnaki simply means the children of Anu, or it can be also translated as those who came from the sky. The three most prominent figures in the Anunnaki pantheon are Anu and his two sons, the half-brothers Enlil and Enki. Anu was the supreme god and ruler of the Anunnaki and was believed to reside in heavens, overseeing the actions of the other gods. Enlil was the god of the air and storm. He was the firstborn son of Anu and his rightful heir, so his role on Earth was as the enforcer of his father's will. In a way, he was the main ruler of the planet. Enki was the second son of Anu. He was the god of knowledge, wisdom, and creation. Originally, Enki was worshipped as a god of fresh water and served as the patron deity of the city of Eridu. Today, Eridu is often considered to be one of the oldest permanent settlements in Mesopotamia and perhaps even in the world. The ancient Sumerians also believed that Eridu was the first city in the world, and they documented that belief in the Sumerian king list and the Eridu Genesis. At the current times, at least 18 layers of settlement have been found at the site, so chances are it really was the first city and probably the residence of Prince Enki. Over time, however, Enki's influence grew, and this deity was considered to have power over many other aspects of life, including trickery and mischief, magic, creation, and fertility. In fact, it was Enki together with Ninhursag, the ancient symbol of the powerful mother, who genetically engineered the first humans called Adamu. They did it by mixing their one DNA with that of Homo erectus, and as a result created the Homo sapiens. It so reminds us of the biblical phrase that God created us in His own image. Initially, the humans were not able to reproduce. They were created in laboratories and were used as workforce to mine gold. Seeing how his creations, his own children in a way, were being exploited, Enki decided to take care of them. By going against Enlil's will, Enki secretly gave humans the knowledge of mating and reproducing, and not only, he had been teaching them the knowledge of the universe. Some theories propose that one of Enki's favorite places to reside was Atlantis, and that in trying to protect his children, he, with the aid of Arcturians, established the Atlantean civilization, an isolated place where humans could live freely without being exploited by the Anunnaki. But this act enraged Enlil. In fact, the Sumerian clay tablets describe a war between the two brothers. It comes out that the detonation of nuclear weapons in the 20th century was not the first time humanity had seen such a terrible destruction. Drawing upon the work of Zecharia Sitchin, the Book of Genesis, Sumerian clay tablets, and archaeological evidence such as an ancient radioactive skeletons, there is a possibility of an ancient nuclear event that destroyed the Sumerian civilization as a result of power struggles of the gods. As his creator, the Anunnaki god Enki had a fatherly relationship with the first humans. But Enlil, who was acting as the sole commander of Earth, was enraged at his brother Enki for spoiling the Anunnaki bloodlines through interbreeding. This shift imposed a blackout not only of the very human nature of the Anunnaki gods, but also of humanity's own ancient past on Earth. There is a theory suggesting that two of Enlil's attacks against the Enki clan and humanity are described in the stories of the Deluge and the Tower of Babel. His final attempt after coursing the assembly of the gods into voting yes was the nuclear bombing of 5 cities of the Jordan Plain, including Sodom and Gomorrah, which resulted in the destruction of the Sumerian civilization and the Anunnaki's own civilization on Earth, including their spaceport in the Sinai. The Terra Papers tells that after the war, Enki was exiled from the planet. However, he still continued to teach humanity spiritual knowledge and to aid them in their development. The Anunnaki were known in ancient Babylon as Sire, which carries the meaning of dragons or big serpents, and the Anunnaki god Enki was associated with the Brotherhood of the Snake and was often represented by 2 coiled snakes of Caduceus, a symbol that had multiple meanings in ancient times. Some scholars have suggested that the symbol represented the reptilian nature of the Anunnaki and their alleged connection to a reptilian alien race, while others have linked to the coiled serpent as a symbol of Kundalini, of spiritual knowledge and wisdom. Interestingly, the caduceus is also the magic wand carried by Hermes, also known as Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, and not only, the caduceus of Enki and later on Hermes features at the top of the central rod the pine cone that represents the gift of Kundalini awareness when activated. Often when the caduceus is winged, meaning that in our deepest meditations we can fly and access all knowledge and tools for healing. Another enigmatic object seen in the Sumerian art is the bracelet that most of the major Anunnaki gods wear. The meaning of these bracelets is unknown, but some believe that they were not randomly depicted and there has to be a deeper symbolic meaning. They remind us a little bit of watches. But the most intriguing object that the Anunnaki hold is a pine cone, which is always directed towards something. Do we know anything about the pine cones in ancient Mesopotamia? What were they believed to represent or symbolize in ancient times? From esoteric perspective, the pine cone can be seen as a symbol of spiritual enlightenment and awakening. The pine cone is a symbol that has been used in many cultures and religions throughout history, including ancient Sumerian, Egyptian, and Greek cultures. The pine cone was sometimes used as a sacred offering or as a symbol of the divine. For example, in ancient Egypt, the staff of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, was depicted with a pine cone at the top. In Hinduism, the pine cone is sometimes associated with Lord Shiva, the god of destruction and transformation. The Pope's staff, also known as the papal ferula, features a pine cone as a decorative element. In Vatican Square, there is a bronze sculpture of a pine cone that is known as the largest in the world. It is located in the courtyard of the pine cone and is considered a significant symbol of the Vatican's spiritual and historical significance. Why? In some esoteric traditions, the pine cone is also seen as a symbol of regeneration and rebirth. This is because the pine cone contains seeds that can be used to grow new trees, symbolizing the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Conifer pine trees are one of the oldest plant genera on the planet, having existed much longer than all flowering plant species combined. Pine cones, the evolutionary precursor to flowers, have spines that spiral in perfect Fibonacci sequence, similar to the sacred geometry of a rose or a sunflower. In most of the ancient cultures, the pine cone was associated with the pineal gland, likely due to the pineal gland's pine cone-like shape. The pineal gland, named after a shape like a pine cone, is located at the geometric center of our brain and is closely linked to our perception of light. It is a small endocrine gland responsible for secreting melatonin, which regulates sleep-wake patterns, and circadian rhythms, receives more blood flow than any other area of the body except the kidneys, and is uniquely isolated from the blood-brain barrier system. The pineal gland is also associated with spiritual and mystical experiences and has been referred to as the third eye in some spiritual traditions, or the seat of the soul. It is said to be the gateway to higher state of consciousness and spiritual experiences. Rick Strassman, a psychopharmacologist, believes that the third eye is the source to psychedelic DMT in our bodies. Strassman has hypothesized that large amounts of DMT are released in our bodies during heightened states of spiritual consciousness, such as birth, death, and near-death experiences, or perhaps during the awakening of our Kundalini in a moment of enlightenment. Synthesized DMT or plants containing DMT are often used as a recreational psychedelics or in shamanic ceremonies such as the ayahuasca ceremony originating in South America. DMT users often report intense experiences of spiritual awakening, contact with entities of supernatural or spiritual origin, and the dilation or compression of time. And what is interesting is that among the reports of thousands users experiencing with ayahuasca, the serpent is documented as the most commonly appearing archetype in their spiritual visions. The pine cone is a special symbol because the spiral pattern found in pine cones is known to contain the golden ratio, or also known as the divine proportion. The golden ratio is a mathematical proportion that is found throughout nature and is associated with beauty, harmony, and balance. In case of the pine cone, the spiral pattern is created by a series of spirals that curve in opposite directions, forming a distinctive pattern that closely follows the golden ratio. The golden ratio is part of the sacred geometry, which is often seen as a way of revealing the blueprint of creation, as it is believed to tap into the fundamental principles and patterns that underlie the universe. So now, it is even more evident that the pine cone that the Anunnaki were holding was not there by chance, but in fact, it symbolizes sacred knowledge, the blueprint of creation of the whole universe, and carries the message of spiritual awakening and enlightenment that can be achieved through the activation of the pineal gland. And so it comes out that the Anunnaki not only created humans as slaves, they also played a role in the evolution of human consciousness, helping humans to access and cultivate their spiritual potential. By their genes with that of Homo erectus, they also encoded in our DNA sacred knowledge of the universe and of the source of everything, knowledge that throughout history we have deeply forgotten, but it is still there, planted somewhere in our DNA, and we still have the ability to remember it and activate it. Other intriguing traits associated with the Anunnaki include the mysterious bag depicted in ancient artwork, which some researchers believe was a container for the water of life, a substance used in the Anunnaki's genetic experiments on humans and animals. Or what if they were carrying the seeds inside them? The bags held by the Anunnaki in ancient Mesopotamian art could have represented a variety of different things. One interpretation is that the bags may have represented the Anunnaki's role as keepers of the secrets or keepers of the knowledge. In this interpretation, the bags could be seen as containers for advanced knowledge and technology, representing the Anunnaki's role as the guardians and protectors of ancient wisdom. Elsewhere, the hanged bag image shows up with striking similarities in two stone reliefs, one made by the Assyrian of ancient Iraq sometime between 880–859 BC and the other made by the Olmecs of ancient Mesoamerica sometime between 12,400 BC. In both of these images, a man-like figure carries the handbag in his hand as if it were a basket or purse. When used in Assyrian art, it is said the purse holds magic dust, probably symbolizing the fertilization of Earth by the Anunnaki. After all, they were believed to be the creators of our planet. In contemporary times, the Anunnaki are often depicted as the equivalent of the creator god in the Old Testament. But could there be evidence of the Anunnaki's existence in ancient texts such as the Bible and archaeological discoveries, and how will we know for certain? There are various mentions of extraterrestrial encounters in the Bible, including descriptions of vehicles such as clouds, pillars, and dwellings, and references to UFOs as flying furnace and burning bushes. The book of Genesis also mentions the sons of God having offspring with human females, resulting in hybrid beings known as the Nephilim. They are described as possessing a cloak or garment that gave them powers similar to those of the Anunnaki of Sumeria. Ancient texts, such as the ones Zecharia Sitchin was deciphering, imply that the Anunnaki owned the Garden of Eden. So, it turns out that the serpent was a member of the Anunnaki, not just a biblical creature. It is speculated that it was indeed Enki himself, who transformed into a serpent to give the knowledge of mating to his children Adamu. And it seems logical since Enki has always been associated with the symbol of the serpent. The book of Ezekiel also describes possible extraterrestrial encounters. Ezekiel is a major prophet in the Old Testament of the Bible. He was a priest who was living in exile in the city of Babylon. According to the Bible, Ezekiel was chosen by God to receive visions and messages, which he then delivered to the people of Israel to guide them and warn them of coming judgment. Ezekiel's prophecies are recorded in the book of Ezekiel, which is one of the books of the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Old Testament. According to Ezekiel's book, he had a vision of being with wings that moved and made tremendous noise and a wheel that moved without making a steering movement. At first, Ezekiel thought that what he saw was God, and he fell on the ground to pray. However, he later realized that it was not God and described what he saw. These descriptions bear a striking resemblance to what modern-day UFO sightings look like. Some researchers have speculated that being with wings could be a representation of extraterrestrial spacecraft, and the wheel could be a depiction of a type of propulsion system that aliens might use. Interestingly, the original Hebrew text of Ezekiel does not mention the word God, but instead refers to the splendor of the highest. In the book of Ezekiel, the splendor of the highest arrives a second time, causing Ezekiel to feel the gravity and gives him a measuring device to measure a building. So, can Ezekiel's descriptions be interpreted as evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings in ancient times? What if it was the same as the Anunnaki? So far, we've seen that it's a fact that there is a widespread belief that the Anunnaki were alien entities who played a significant role in shaping human history. However, is there any proof? To answer this, we'll go back 20 years. The location is Iraq. During Operation Iraq Freedom, American troops were deployed to maintain order in Baghdad. However, looters took advantage of the chaos and destroyed numerous ancient artifacts, including musical instruments and cuneiform tablets. It is believed that the cuneiform tablets that were stolen from Iraq museums during the chaos of the war in 2003 contained crucial information about the Anunnaki and their connection to extraterrestrial beings. The coordinated and organized nature of the theft, with individuals using earpieces to gain access to double-locked doors and steal valuable items, suggests that this was not a random act of war. So the question is, was this a deliberate attempt to conceal forbidden knowledge from the past? What if the stolen texts contain significant information that supports the theory of an Anunnaki connection and the involvement of extraterrestrial beings in shaping human history. Millions of people worldwide are interested in the possibility that extraterrestrial beings have played a significant role in human history. The theft of the priceless artifact from the National Museum in Baghdad highlights the importance of preserving and studying the past to gain a better understanding of our origins and the potential involvement of extraterrestrial beings in shaping our destiny. And if we think about that, imagine how much historical accounts have been reshaped and rewritten so that the real history remains hidden and what we know today is nothing but a tiny part of the truth. The falsification of history has done more to impede human development than any other thing known to mankind. How would our view of history change if we confirm the Anunnaki's role in shaping human civilization? Will we need to rewrite our history books, and if so, how would that affect our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world? Not only the fact that we are not alone, but also that we carry a sacred divine knowledge within our DNA. We bow before you and thank you for watching another episode of Secret Origins. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.